Good morning. It having reached the hour of 10 a.m., I am 22nd, 2021 Special City Council Meeting, Forward Together Listening Session to order and ask that the City Clerk to call the roll call.
Councilmember Madrigal is running late. Councilmember Ricky?
Present.
Zalaki?
Here.
Canoyer?
She has called in and is trying to
She's trying to connect already. Councilmember Wright?
Here.
Councilmember Escutia Brayton?
Here.
Mayor Walden?
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. In order to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus, this meeting will be conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, which suspended certain requirements of the Brown Act. If you choose to attend the council meeting in person, you will be required to wear a face covering and maintain appropriate social distancing, including maintaining a 6-foot distance between yourself and other individuals. Please note, seating will be limited. At this time, I would like to defer to Scotty Douglas for instructions for participating virtually.
Thank you, Mayor. If you're using a computer or a smartphone app, click on the raise hand feature in the webinar controls. This will notify city staff that you have raised your hand. City staff will unmute your microphone when it is your turn to provide public comment, and a prompt will appear to confirm you would like to be unmuted, and then you will have 5 minutes to provide public comment. Once your public comment is ended, you will be muted again. If you're using a regular dial-in telephone, this is not a computer or smartphone app, dial *9, and this will notify city staff that you've raised your hand for public comment. City staff will unmute your microphone when it's your turn to provide comment, and you will hear the tone, "You are unmuted," and then you'll have 3 or 5 minutes to provide public comment. Once your public comment is ended, you'll be muted again, and if your phone is unmuted, you'll be unable to be heard, and the host may ask that you dial *6 to toggle mute on or off in Zoom.
Si es que se va a comunicar con esta reunión por intermedio de su teléfono y lo va a hacer a través de su celular y quiere usted hacerse escuchar, lo que tiene que hacer es apretar el icono que dice Raise Hand, que significa levante la mano, y que sale un pequeño icono que es una manita. Eso le permitirá al personal del ayuntamiento de que usted quiera hablar. Enseguida, cuando sea su momento de hablar, le van a poner en comunicación con el micrófono y le van a preguntar si acaso quiere que le saquen el botón de que lo está enmudeciendo. Y una vez que se haga eso, va a tener 5 minutos para hablar, y una vez que termine su comentario, lo van a poner en mudo nuevamente. Si usted utiliza un teléfono regular, vale decir el de su casa, el que está conectado a la pared, tiene que marcar el asterisco 9. Esto también es lo que le va a indicar al personal del ayuntamiento de que usted quiere hablar. En ese momento, cuando sea el momento de hablar, le van a preguntar si acaso quiere, le van a conectar su micrófono para que usted pueda hablar. Usted va a escuchar en el teléfono que le va a decir "You are unmute", que significa que le han abierto el micrófono para que usted pueda hablar. Desde ese momento van a pasar 5 minutos en los cuales usted va a poder hablar. Una vez que usted ha terminado de hablar, lo van a desconectar nuevamente. Si es que su teléfono no está conectado con su micrófono y usted no puede escuchar, usted va a tener que marcar el asterisco 6 para poder entrar nuevamente en el proceso de conectar su micrófono.
Thank you. Our translator today is Roberto Rodriguez. Thank you very much. Now is the time for public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Does anyone wish to speak on an item under public comment for items not on the council agenda today? And for this time period, you would have 3 minutes to speak, and I have 2 cards presently for people wanting to speak at this time. First one is Deborah L. Harper.
En este momento es cuando se puede hablar de cosas que no estén en la agenda. Si es que hay alguien que quiera hablar, es el momento de hacerlo. Se te darán 3 minutos. En este momento se está llamando aquí al micrófono. What is the name? I'm sorry.
Deborah L. Harper.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. Welcome to 2021. This is the first council meeting I've been to in 2021. Welcome to the new people, and welcome to the people that are still here. It's awesome.
Did you have any additional comments that you would like to make today?
I'm in prayer.
All right.
So I pray that this meeting goes smooth and well, and that there's not a retaliatory effort on the effort that is being made. There is a lot of tension throughout the community, which exists. It's a fact of life. It's not a criticism or judgment. So I just pray that we all can prayerfully, peacefully coexist. Everyone fits and everyone functions for who they are. So if we can peacefully coexist with each other and manage everything within that guideline, I hope we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person under this period for public comment is John X. Mataka.
Good morning. My name is John X. Mataka, and I'm the president of the Grayson Neighborhood Council and also a member of Valley Improvement Projects. I want to speak to this council today briefly about the Covanta Waste to Energy incinerator. You know, several weeks ago, there was a fire out there, the second one in the last 2-3 years at that plant. That plant is over 30 years old. Waste incineration is a thing of the past nowadays. There used to be 3 in the state of California, and now there's only 2, one in Long Beach and one in Stanislaus County. Back many years ago, there was a big controversy where the CEO had to resign from the county, and the supervisor for District 5 got booted because all these polluting industries were in our area. We had the tire incinerator, which everybody knows caught fire. Is that my clue that I got 30 seconds?
No, it is not. It looks like Councilmember Knoyer joining us, so
Okay.
on the screen.
So,
no, it's
anyway,
not. There's a
so
light right
we-
there, actually,
okay.
and we'll give you a little extra time.
Okay, so we had the tire incinerator, which everybody knows the fire that we had out there in 1999. We had 1 of 3 at the time, 1 of 3 trash incinerators. Now there are only 2. And we had the landfill where the county purchased over 2,100 acres, and there was a big controversy about how they were able to do that with the funds. Needless to say, we don't want to burn trash here no more. We want a recycling program that can employ people similar to what they used to have in Monterey. I don't know what's going on there now, but we want to take a trip to some place that's doing something more progressive rather than burning trash. I asked the Board of Supervisors, I asked the Supervisor Condit, and I'm proposing that to this City Council, that some of us take a trip. We'll find a location that, you know, has a progressive recycling program, and we need to get away from that. We have a lot of acreage out there, 2,100 acres. That's enough for several hundred years of landfill. But we don't want to continue to burn trash, and you know there's issues around that. And so I'm just letting this board know that I will be in contact with you to see if we can negotiate a way to make a trip and to go check it out, and to finally, and I'll say this and quit. Modesto doesn't have recycling. It's the biggest city in the county. Turlock has it. We have it in Grayson. Little old Grayson has it. But Modesto doesn't, and we know that the reason is because you have to provide 800 tons of trash to Covanta, or else you have to pay them the difference. And so there's no incentive to recycle. So we need to get rid of that. And that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see 2 hands raised on Zoom, and I'm not sure if they are regarding an issue that is not on the agenda today, but I will ask if, I will say your names. Oh, it looks like one went. All right. Bianca Lopez? Oh,
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, I wasn't going to speak other than about the moving forward or the forward together, but as I heard John speak, I thought I should echo what he was saying. I too work with Valley Improvement Projects and John and other community members, and we are in support of the neighboring communities around the incinerator. As John mentioned, the second fire within the last 6 months occurred not too long ago, and we encourage you to really consider a zero waste movement. We've put on several presentations to talk about recycling, and I know that Modesto doesn't recycle the non-organic materials, and we do a good job with the organic materials. So that is something that VIP is in support of. And I really would like you guys to look into the alternatives before we burn our waste. And have some good news in Long Beach. So California has two waste incinerators. One is in Long Beach, and one is here in Stanislaus County. The third one, that was in Commerce, California, actually shut down. And we just heard this last week that Covanta is no longer considering renewing their contract with Long Beach after 2024, which are signs that this old, outdated way to deal with our waste is coming to light, and that Covanta and other companies like Covanta are seeing that there is no more room for them. It's time for our representatives to do the same. And so we encourage you to look at the stats and the information on waste to energy and its false attempts to say that it is a good way to deal with our waste. It's greenwashing, and you know, we can give you some more information and details. I'd be glad to follow up with some facts about the effects of incineration in low-income communities across the state and the United States, actually. So thank you, John, for bringing that up. I appreciate you and your comment, and I look forward to working with you all as well.
thank you. I see Susan Powers' hand raised if you are here to discuss something that is not on the agenda today. Looks like you are on mute.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize. I don't have anything at this moment.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here in person, in addition to the people that have spoken, that would like to speak regarding something not on the agenda today?
Yeah. Sí, gracias, señora alcaldesa. Mi nombre es Miguel Donoso y el asunto que quiero traer es que se supone que va a haber un centro de la comunidad en Pecos, en Cross Landing, y yo creo que eso le pertenece al señor Madrigal. Y quiero saber cuál es lo último que se está haciendo para mejorar y cuándo se va a abrir ese centro de la comunidad en Pecos y Cross Landing. Se supone que sea la propiedad de las Auto Mendoza. Gracias, señor.
Mi nombre es Miguel Donoso. My name is Miguel Donoso, and what I want to know is there was a project, community center that was supposed to be built in the corner of Pecos, in Cross Landing. And I would like to know what's the state of that project.
All right, thank you. Miguel, we will have someone get back to you on that and then give you that information. Right, we're going to try to just listen today because this is not on the agenda, so council members should not be responding. However, Tony, if you'd like to make a comment.
I just want to make a comment. Nomás quería hacerle un comentario. Me dijo el señor Joe Durán, que es el que está encabezando el proyecto, que él espera que todo vaya a ser terminado aproximadamente en la primavera del año que entra.
Gracias.
The comment is that the manager of that project says that this project is going to be done by spring of next year.
Thank you very much. Sir, did you have a comment about something not on the agenda? I saw your hand raised.
Good morning. My name is Rafael Mendez. I am a fence builder. I am a licensed contractor. I have a city business license, insurance, bond, everything that I'm required to carry by law. I'm here to complain about the unlicensed contractors working within the city and the county. They are a big problem. They are a big threat to businesses established legitimately like mine. I'm pretty sure that most everybody is aware of how they affect our businesses. They drive down the prices. Currently, I'm sure everybody's aware of the lumber shortage. Half of the lumber available is going to unlicensed contractors, leaving us with no lumber to continue working. I have heard from other people in the fencing industry that they are moving away from building wood fences because the lumber is going to, half of it roughly is going to unlicensed contractors. I have customers asking me to match the prices of unlicensed contractors. How I'm gonna do that with my overhead and all the expenses that I have conducting business legitimately. I'm sorry. I know that this is an issue handled mainly by the state license board. I've talked to them. They have very limited resources. If I complain about an active job site here in the city that is being run by unlicensed contractors, they might send someone all the way from Sacramento or Fresno hoping that they can still find the people running this active job site. That's very hard. Fences, it's a very dynamic activity. You can get done in one day. By the time someone comes from Fresno or Sacramento, people there will be gone. So I'm wondering if there's something that the city can do. Maybe the planning department, maybe the police department can be involved somehow trying to control this problem. I see these unlicensed contractors everywhere. I see them every day. They're easy to identify for me because I'm in that trade. I can tell who is the homeowner trying to repair his fence in the backyard. I can tell who is the one replacing 100 feet of fence. I can distinguish them. I gave my contact information to this gentleman, Hector. I'm hoping that someone can contact me and we can discuss this and look for solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. So, okay, so we're assured that will happen. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak regarding what is not on the agenda today? If you want to speak regarding what's on the agenda, it will be later.
Oh, okay.
But you can talk to Roberto and clarify that. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So we will move on. Next on the, excuse me?
Somebody else. We can just talk about what we want to talk about, right?
Yes.
Good morning, City Council and Mayor and everybody here. God is good. I'm here, to speak on my Dr. Martin Luther King Center. I'm still standing ground, boots on the ground, that one day that we get that center so we can have a memorial in his 6-foot statue, because we have not had a statue in this town in a long time. We have some downtown here, But I would like to see the Dr. Martin Luther King have a sign on the freeway, exit Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial Center Park, like other cities. I know a lot of people think that we do have that name, but I fully here state that Dr. King do not share a name. He stands alone. He was born alone, and he died alone. I think it is embarrassed. But at that time, in 1967, my forefathers that was fighting, they did the best they could do. History doesn't put all the fighting that they was doing back then. And I come along off and on, about 17, I think, off and on talking about it. As you know, we do have the park. As you know, we do have 6 blocks, which is, well, it's okay. We have a name, street name. And all we have left is that center. So we can be completed. So when people come out of town and visit our great city, they can go to 601 Martin Luther King Drive and take a picture with the statue. That would be beautiful. That would be beautiful to see that happen here in this town. It is time for Modesto to make a change. As y'all know, I've been speaking many, many years. And so I'm asking City Council and the people, the great people of Modesto, stand with Mr. Jones and stand with the people that signed my petition, over 4,000, on paper and on the online. We need this. As you know, June 18th, well, that's my birthday, but Juneteenth is freedom of African American. Actually, it was freed in January the 1st. But we celebrate the last freedom out of Galveston, Texas. We need change. Change is good. I don't know what they was talking back in the 60s, but I know what I'm talking about now. I know a lot of people go in these events when Dr. King come up for his luncheon. A lot of people always speak and tell how much they love Dr. King and what he done for them. Well, I'm going to give my voice. I have no money. That's why I say boots on the ground. Because I walked that whole neighborhood, including downtown, getting signatures. And let's honor the will of the people, not because we have a couple of people opposed of it don't want it. That's their version. Just a handful versus 4,000 people. It would be nice, Juneteenth, to say that we're moving forward. It would be very nice. This needs to happen. You see what's going on in the world. Let's honor this great man. Well, I thank you for this time.
You're welcome. Thank you. I also want to remind everyone that, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you choose to attend the meeting in person, you are required to wear a face covering.
Oh, I left it in the car.
Thank you. All right. I do not see anyone else coming to the podium regarding items not on the agenda, and I do not see anyone online. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, correct. All right, so next on the agenda is our new business for today. Forward Together listening session to launch a community engagement process to evaluate and improve policing in Modesto. Welcome. Thank you everyone for being here today for this important process. I'm grateful for our city staff and Kate Trumpeter, who have organized our day, our council for supporting it, and the public for your engagement on making our community the safest that it can be. I truly appreciate everyone taking the time to thoughtfully give input. Why this matters to me: we've been listening. We know many of you have come to us during public comment at our council meetings and expressed your feelings and concerns regarding policing in our community. We have heard you. Today begins a formal process of listening and learning together in the hopes that we can create meaningful solutions together. And today is just the beginning. After today, we are going to engage in a process. Before we start, our time in the listening session will be used to listen. And when I say to our, I'm referring to our council. That we are here to listen to your feedback on policing in Modesto. Before turning the meeting over to our facilitator, I wanted to let everyone know that we anticipate that the City Council will recess around 1 p.m. for about half an hour. And we will return to continue the listening approximately 1:30. I'd like to introduce Kate Trumpeter at this time. Kate is a local coach and facilitator who specializes in community engagement and works exclusively with government and community organizations. She is a Modesto native and has committed her professional and personal life to the people and groups who live and work here. She's been involved in many local organizing and community engagement processes, and I know she is really working on behalf of all of us, all of Modesto. At this time, I will defer to Roberto to say what I just said in Spanish.
Bienvenidos. Gracias a todos por estar aquí en este importante comienzo. Un agradecimiento especial al personal del ayuntamiento y a Kate Trumpeter, que ha organizado este día, al Consejo Municipal por su respaldo y al público por integrarse a esta iniciativa para que nuestra comunidad sea lo más segura posible. Gracias a todos ustedes por tomarse el tiempo de brindarnos sus aportes. Así que comencemos. Esto es importante para mí. Hemos estado escuchando. Muchos de ustedes se nos acercaron durante los foros públicos y expresaron sus sentimientos y preocupaciones respecto del hacer policial en esperanza de que unidos podamos hallar verdaderas soluciones. Y hoy solo es el principio. Desde hoy formaremos parte del proceso. Antes de terminar, quiero que sepan que vamos a ocupar nuestro tiempo durante esta sesión para escuchar lo que ustedes tengan que decir sobre la actividad policial en Modesto. Antes de entregar la reunión a nuestra moderadora, quería que todos supieran que el Consejo Municipal tomará un receso de aproximadamente media hora a eso de la 1, reanudándose para seguir escuchándoles a eso de la 1:30. Ahora quisiera presentarles a Kate Trumpeter, que va a ser nuestra moderadora. Kate es una entrenadora deportiva y moderadora especializada en integración comunitaria y se dedica a facilitar la comunicación entre entidades gubernamentales y comunitarias. Nació y se crió en Modesto y ha dedicado su vida profesional y personal a la gente y grupos que viven y trabajan aquí. Ha estado envuelta en muchos procesos de organización y participación comunitaria local y sé que realmente está trabajando por el bien de todos nosotros en Modesto.
Thank you. Let's get started, Kate.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. I have a few opening remarks to offer, but before I do that, I'd like to invite Kalua, Deputy City Manager, to tell us a little bit about the housekeeping.
I'll go ahead and cover that. Scotty Douglas, Deputy City Manager. So just some of the housekeeping for those that are actually here in the chambers. The restrooms are just out the doors and to your right, all the way at the end of the hall. And also to the left, as you're traveling that direction, there's vending machines for snacks and possible drinks if you need any of those. The exits to the building are straight out the doors to the back here. You'll go up to the stairs, and you can go to the right or to the left at the top of the stairs to exit the building. Thank you.
Yeah, Roberto, would you mind?
Solamente para dar las instrucciones sobre cosas como, por ejemplo, de dónde están los baños. Los baños están saliendo aquí atrás, hacia la izquierda o hacia la derecha. Hacia la derecha. Y enseguida de que si se quieren salir del edificio, tienen que salir por la misma puerta, subir las escaleras y doblando a la izquierda o a la derecha hay una salida hacia la calle.
Okay, great. Okay, good morning, everybody. Before we get started, I wanted to offer a few comments and also make folks aware of a couple of things we're hoping to accomplish today. I'm also going to manage my microphone so that there isn't a bunch of feedback. First, I wanted to introduce Michael Baldwin, who's sitting here to my right. He is my co-facilitator for the process that the mayor referred to moving forward, which we'll hear more about in just a few. So he's also here today as a facilitator and support to this process. A little bit about what we're hoping for today. The first thing I'd just like to say is I'm requesting patience. This COVID time hybrid approach to having folks both joining us on Zoom and also joining us physically in person, we're going to have to dance with that a little bit, as I like to say. So just bear with us as we attempt to set up a day where we can get to as many people and hear as many voices as possible. What we're looking for today is, I know we said at the beginning that folks were going to have up to 5 minutes. We're going to have to reduce that to 3, only because our intention is to try to get to as many folks as possible, and based on the number of people who are joining us virtually and who are here presently, we're just going to ask that we keep our public comments and feedback to 3 minutes. But I want to say, before I move on from that, that this really is the beginning of this process. It is not the only time we'll be creating official space for folks to offer their feedback and opinions. There's also other ways that if for whatever reason you don't get to express your full thoughts, opinions, stories, there's an email address, a website, a voicemail box, your council members, myself and Michael, and also opportunities that will be coming in the future for us to continue to listen. So I just want to make sure that we're really explicit about that intention, and I'll be reminding folks of that too. So 3 minutes, and lots of ways to offer your feedback, and this won't be the last time. So the other thing that I just want to make clear is that this is a listening session, so I've asked your council members not to speak. And so I know that may feel sort of strange at times, but our intention, their intention, right, is to collect information and to hear from you today. So we hope that those 3 minutes are used really for you to bring your full thoughts and opinions to this space. And I've asked the council members to take that information in. You may see them writing notes down. I've asked them to pay attention to the themes that are arising, the feelings that people are bringing forward. So I just want to be clear that that's also why you won't necessarily see them engaging with folks during our listening period of time. So the last thing that I'll say before we'll open up the space, and we'll be starting with someone who's joining us virtually, is that we've offered just some shared values for folks to keep in mind, and they're shared meaning I'm not just inviting the public, I'm inviting the council and city staff and myself and Michael and all of us to think about how we move forward together in a meaningful and respectful way. So I'm inviting folks, again, like I'd mentioned, to be patient, to bring your full selves and all of your feedback forward. If there's any sort of explicit content or energy that might be getting in the way of us moving the meeting forward, I'm going to gently invite people to pause, and we'll adjust the time as necessary in that case. So there will be a timer that's running both for folks who are joining us on Zoom, and then of course at the podium we have the lights here, and just inviting folks to pay attention to that. And again, not because we don't want to hear it all, but because I want to make sure that for anyone who's here to speak, that everyone has an opportunity to have their voice heard. Okay. Okay. Yes, Roberto, please.
Okay. Lo que queremos hacer hoy día, primero que nada tenemos que empezar advirtiéndoles que debido a las condiciones del COVID habrán algunas inconveniencias. Por lo tanto se tienen que mantener ciertos protocolos de distancia. También de que esperamos de que, como va a haber mucha participación, vamos a reducir también la cantidad de minutos que se le va a dar a cada persona para que pueda hablar, que iban a ser de 5 minutos, lo hemos reducido a 3 minutos porque queremos de darle a la mayor parte de la gente la oportunidad de hablar. También queremos aclarar de que este no es una conferencia donde van a hablar las autoridades electas, sino de que no están aquí ustedes para escucharnos a nosotros, sino de que nosotros estamos aquí para escucharlos a ustedes. Cuando las personas quieran hacerse escuchar, van a tener 3 minutos, va a haber un cronómetro que van a ver aquí en el podio y que les va a avisar de que les va a contar 2 minutos. No es un control para que ustedes no hablen, sino que simplemente para hacer espacio para todos. Toda la información que estamos recabando aquí es toda la información que vamos a necesitar para llegar a una conclusión eventualmente de que esto es un proyecto en el cual estamos buscando cómo llegar a que el hacer policial sea más seguro y que la comunidad tenga una participación en ello. I'm sorry. También, si ustedes desean decir algo más que no alcanzaron a decir en el momento de los minutos que les dieron, hay información en la agenda donde ustedes pueden continuar comunicándose con nosotros a través del correo electrónico, a través de buzones de voz y a través de otros medios que están listados ahí para que nos den su comentario.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time we're going to open the space. As I believe I've said, we're going to alternate back and forth as much as we can between folks who are present in the council chambers and those who are joining us on Zoom. Yeah, and I'm going to have these blue cards for those who have indicated they wanted to speak, but I'll also give opportunities for folks to just raise their hands if they're interested in speaking as well. So I believe we're starting with Susan Powers.
Good morning, Sue, City Council, Kate Trumpeter. I wanted to join in, and I'm very excited to see this morning happen. I think one of the biggest problems, and we all agree with this, is our homeless. And as we look for a new police chief, I know that police, I believe, is now monitoring some of this homeless problem. And I'm wondering if our homeless advocacy committee and a homeless committee would be better as a task force to help get this under control, and maybe mentoring or following a plan. If you look at San Luis Obispo, they have a 10-year plan for homeless. But you know, in this city, it's become, not only because of economic, but because of everything else going on, we haven't been able to get a handle on it. And as we get ready to open up our city, and I live near Grayseta Park, you know, our community services that we offer, mental health is very limited. Our facilities for getting food and shelter are spread out throughout the city. So it would be nice if we could bring all of those services together in one place. I know Steve Finch has a task force that's getting ready to hit the streets. But I think we need to look at a very, very strong community-based task force to address this homeless problem we have here. And then also eliminate some of the responsibility that we are putting on our police department so that they can actually be out in a positive light in our community.
Working. Check, check, check. Yep. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate those remarks very much. Okay, at this time I'm going to invite Mr. Miguel Donoso.
Gracias, muchas gracias. Yo creo que uno de los puntos más importantes que está pasando ahorita es que el documento que han traído, lo han puesto, no está en español. Este es muy importante porque si queremos comunicarnos con la comunidad hispana, tienes que darle todos los documentos o los documentos que le está dando a los que hablan inglés, también debe estar en español de acuerdo al mandato y del acto de Emily Alatorre sobre programas bilingües culturales que están en el Departamento del Estado. Si tú recibes dinero del Estado, tienes que traducir los documentos. El otro punto es que deberíamos que la ciudad trabaje más cerca con la comunidad hispana y que tengan secciones de cada distrito que sea público, como lo han hecho esto, por ejemplo, en las escuelas o un centro cultural, lo que sea. Pero cada miembro del concilio debería tener relaciones y acercarse con la comunidad sobre los problemas de la policía, porque nuestra comunidad mexicana, mexicoamericana, no le tiene confianza a la policía por años y por muchas cosas que nos han hecho la policía. Aparte de la parte lingüística y cultural, la policía no está entrenada para hacer servicios lingüísticos y culturales y sobre todo cómo prevenir el racismo. Y hay policías racistas en esta ciudad. El último es que deberíamos tener más acercamiento, que la ciudad, bajo la oficina del señor manejador, señor López, y el manejador y el abogado de la ciudad, el señor Sánchez, deberían de buscar la forma legal y hacer pólizas de cómo acercarse mejor a nuestras comunidades que han sido afectadas por la policía. Y no nomás solamente cada vez que hay accidentes o matan a alguien o meten a la cárcel a alguien, sino que haya una constante comunicación y acercamiento y poner una comisión que sea de raza, étnica, de equidad. Esta ciudad debería tener una comisión de eso. No hay ahorita eso. Gracias.
Thank you.
My first point will be that the documents that we're presented with today, they are not in Spanish, and this is a problem that is all the time happens when they claim that we need to communicate with the community, and they should note that because of the Alatorre Act, any act that any agency that receive state money should have their documents provided also in Spanish, and this is something that is not occurring only now. Secondly, there is a problem with the approach to the community. The meetings that are being done should be done within the community, meaning where the public is, like schools and community centers, because there is not a communication. Each of the councilmen or councilpersons, I'm sorry, should have some kind of a plan to have outreach to the community, especially when it comes to the fact that we have problems with the police. The endemic problem with the police among the Latino community is they don't trust the police. There is a barrier that is linguistic and cultural. And the problem is not that the police is not doing their job, it is just don't have the way of communicating or understanding the people that they are serving. But in addition to that, of course, there is also racism within the police. Councilman, I'm sorry, I don't know, Mr. Lopez and Mr. Sanchez, I don't know if they are councilmen. They should know this, and they should have efforts to do outreach to the community. And the city should establish a commission a commission that will do outreach regarding race, ethnicity, and equity.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Donoso. We're going to go to somebody joining us virtually. Carol Stark, if you would like to share.
Looks like she's on mute,
Yeah,
Kate, if you'd
Carol,
like to-
it looks like you're muted.
Oh, sorry.
There you
I'm
go.
sorry.
Hi.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm calling in support of the Civilian Review Board and Independent Auditor Plan for the City of Modesto's Police Department. I first became involved when I decided after the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor that I needed to do something as a citizen to address the problem of excessive force and death by our police departments. While this is a serious national problem, the solution is going to be local, and there is too much violence against our peoples of color. In August, I discovered that a community committee was being formed by the NAACP and ACLU to study and form a plan for a review board, and so I became involved. We modeled our plan on the City of Davis's board, but we did research and talked to several experts in the field for their input. We have a plan, and we have given it to several members of the council and mayor to see, and so I support that plan. As citizens, we have a right to know. Police officers are public servants charged with protecting the community and making us feel safe. Therefore, we need to see and understand how the officers are disciplined if they violate police policy or they use excessive force, which results in the death of a citizen. And we had that, as you know, with our Trevor Sieber case here, sadly. A review board independent auditor model would give an independent, objective third eye to oversee how discipline is handled, and if there are questionable procedures, the board has the authority to change the verdict or make suggestions for improvement. It may involve policy or training changes or firing an officer if necessary. Transparency and accountability are the issues at stake and sorely needed. This solution can serve also as a positive because if things are handled appropriately, this can be communicated to the public, and the process will build relationship and trust between the department and the community. Most officers are good people who do a very difficult job well, but when we have officers that behave poorly, they need to be removed, and they really should not be able to go to another department in another city and be hired. Also, having this independent entity will give citizens a safe and objective way to voice their concerns or file complaints if they see wrongdoing. I also feel that we need new ways of training, especially for de-escalation techniques, hiring, and of course the issue of mental health. And mental health professionals, in my view, are needed to help the police handle these cases. Research shows that many of these encounters are due to our citizens who are in crisis, so guns should not really be the solution. And I also feel that we need federal legislation to set a basic standard of policy and behavior that all 18,000 departments adhere to. So I hope that the George Floyd Justice of Policing Act will pass because it addresses the issues of qualified immunity, it bans the chokehold, no knockouts, etc. So that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my suggestions.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, let's keep going. Deborah Harper, are you present? And yeah. Can people in the chambers hear me okay? Yeah? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I expect.
My name is Deborah Harper. In public speaking, this is spontaneous for me. I get these meeting magnets. I'm in prayer. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. The Bible's very serious about not worrying about what you're going to speak in councils because the Holy Spirit is with those who believe in Jesus Christ. I can have spontaneous multiple points, and the Holy Spirit will change that midstream. So if somebody wants to manipulate me out of speaking when I'm in that prayer process, it's very manipulative, prayerfully and respectfully. 5 minutes is 5 minutes. Ma'am, I'm just speaking. Please let me rest and speak. You're very manipulative. You change things in the process. Everybody's ready to speak for 5 minutes, and you change up and are inconsistent, which is the manipulative way to not let people speak. So there's no point in speaking.
Okay. I just would love to take a moment to remind folks that wanting to create as much space as possible for everyone who has something to share, and that there are multiple ways to offer feedback. So if you don't feel like you've been able to be heard today, I would love for folks to take advantage of that as well. So we'll go to somebody then who's joining us on Zoom. Looks like Doug Tucker.
Can you just reiterate what those ways are when you say that, please? Me.
Sorry.
Can you just please, I mean, I know it's repetitious, but if you do reference that there's other ways for people to speak,
Yes.
just go ahead and run laundry list them as you do that throughout the day.
Absolutely. And they're
Just as
also
a
on the
reminder.
signs that we've posted for folks. So I don't have them committed to memory, but there's a website. And sorry, Doug, give us one moment.
You're good.
Okay, thanks. So there's an email that's forwardtogether@modestogov.com. You can go online to the website, which is modestogov.com/forwardtogether. And these are also available at the front for folks who are physically present. And I believe it's also on the PowerPoint that we are offering for folks to be able to see as well. And then there's a voicemail box that's available for folks at 209-577-6400. And Councilman Madrigal, I'll do that a couple of times throughout the day. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Tucker, time is yours.
Good morning. My name is Doug Tucker, and I'm married to a police detective. I wrote this from my perspective of being married to a Modesto police officer, and it's raw for me in the world that I'm now living in. My husband, as a kid, only ever wanted to be a police officer, and it's been his true calling to protect and serve the community. But now today, that is something he's second guessing. You may not have ever met him, but I've already judged him by the career he has chosen. As a spouse, I cannot be more proud of him and the men and women of the Modesto Police Department. I hear countless stories from other acts conducted by himself and his peers that go unnoticed or unrecognized by the masses. They do not do it for recognition, they do it because it's the right thing to do and they care. I truly believe that there are people that have this skewed idea that law enforcement officers wake up and want to become involved in critical incidents which involve the taking of another life. Police are human. This is not a decision they ever want to make and have to. It affects everyone, including our family. They are your neighbors, friends, family, and most of all, they are who's going to come to you on your worst day and not think twice about it, regardless of the ramifications to follow, which could mean them losing their own life. As a spouse, I take comfort in the amount of training provided by the Modesto Police Department to keep our officers safe and well-equipped in an ever-evolving environment. My spouse spends countless hours attending a variety of work-related trainings to meet state and department mandates, which is on top of the already crazy schedule that he has. My spouse has worked 16 to 18-hour days, and their schedule is never set, leaving him limited to spend time with his family. My husband has missed birthdays, holidays, and special events, preventing him from being with his family so that he could be there for your family in the time of need. My husband understands risk versus reward and being able to steer situations for the best possible outcome. At the end of the day, an officer just wants to go home just like you do. MPD officers understand the risk involved in their profession, everything from losing their life, permanent injury, all the way to being criminal or prosecuted or civilly sued if there's any error. Yet, they still make the choice to come to work anyways, for you, putting the betterment for the public ahead of themselves and most importantly, ahead of their families. Police officers continue to put their best foot forward and be the light in the community, understanding they're showing up to someone's worst day and making every effort to help provide solutions and be that helping hand or that shoulder to cry on. They do their job while working to maintain justice, equality, fairness, and all while upholding the rights of the public. They're wearing body cams 24/7 with every action under the microscope constantly being scrutinized. Law enforcement is a hot topic profession, but these men and women still answer the call for duty, working to keep our community safe to ensure we do not reach a chaotic environment for the betterment of our community. You cannot begin to imagine the stress involved in doing their work of a police officer, of which I hear and experience daily from my spouse. I'll just skip over it since I'm out of time. Have you ever said hi to a police officer in Modesto? Do that today. When you see an officer, say hi, how are you? This won't shock me, but they'll say hi back to you. This is our police department. They wake up and want to be there for you, not against you. So do what's right for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Okay, let's keep going. Mr. Mataka.
Good morning. I want to start this off by just saying that several years ago I was the legal redress for the Stanislaus County NAACP, and during my tenure that year, I helped citizens file 50 complaints, about half through the Modesto Police Department, about half through the Sheriff's Department. Out of those 50 complaints, not one citizen's complaint was substantiated. In other words, they all went in favor of the police department, and they saw no wrong in all 50 of those complaints. It's pretty obvious that that system doesn't work. You can't have the police you can't have the police scrutinizing themselves. It has to be somebody independent. So I'm in favor of an independent review board with powers to fire, with powers to make things happen if there's something wrong going on in the process. With that being said, in 1989, a program in Eugene, Oregon called CAHOOTS, which stands for Crisis Assistance Helping Out on the Streets. It's a community-based public safety system to provide mental health first response for crisis involving mental illness, homelessness, and addiction. It consists of a 2-member team, a medical nurse or paramedic, and a mental health crisis worker. They deal with conflict resolution, welfare checks, substance abuse, and suicide threats, and more, relying on trauma-informed de-escalation and harm reduction. They do not carry weapons, but rely on their training and expertise to ensure nonviolent resolution of crisis situations. They handle non-emergent medical issues, avoiding costly ambulance transport and emergency room treatment. In November of 2016, the study in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine established 20 to 50% of fatal encounters with law enforcement involved individuals with mental illness. In 2019, out of the 24,000 CAHOOTS calls, police calls, backup was requested only 150 times. 911 dispatchers are trained to recognize nonviolent situations and route those calls to CAHOOTS. This program has saved the city of Eugene $8.5 million a year in public safety funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mataka. Just a quick reminder for those who might be joining us now, we're alternating back and forth as much as we can between our virtual participants and those who are physically present, and everybody has 3 minutes. So we'll go to someone on Zoom. We have Mr. Finch, Stephen Finch, if you'd like to share.
Okay, am I on here?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, perfect. First of all, I want to thank Mayors Wallen, the City Council, and Kate Trumpeter for this amazing opportunity. And I want to say this last caller that's some incredible information. I'm fully supportive of that. The CAHOOTS operation's amazing. And then every person who's spoken so far, I want to agree with every comment that's been made. First of all, I'm a member of 2 great community organizations, the CANA, the College Neighborhood Association, and La Loma Neighborhood Association. And through both of those, we have a private security patrol that we pay for. I believe it's $50 a month for each one of those organizations. And that's kind of a little bit of an indirect tax, you know, for something that I should already be paying for. But I think the issue is not that the police department can't provide their primary job, which is protect person and property, but I think it's because we ask the police department to do too much. And because of that, the basic job that they have to protect person and property suffers. And I believe, just like the gentleman before said, that we need to have some sort of agency through either 211 or 911 where we can have access to people to deal with issues such as homelessness, family crisis, mental health, and addiction that don't involve a uniformed and armed police officer to show up to deal with that. And that's why I started an organization called SHARE. It's a Stanislaus Homeless Advocacy Resource Enterprise, so we could do street outreach through the community at a no cost to the taxpayers. And I think that we need more of these types of agencies to work within the community to provide services to do street outreach. I hear this often when people are running for office. They say, meet people where they are. That's one of their phrases they like to say. And yet we don't do that when it comes to one of our major issues here in the city, and that is, our homeless population. We don't meet them where they are, and that involves getting out into the streets. I know that again, through the police department, we've hired 3 uniformed police officers and 3 non-uniformed police officers to do street outreach. Again, we're counting on the police department to do too much, and because of that, we're not allowing them to do their primary job, which is to protect person and property, so we have to go out and pay a private security patrol to do that for us. And we need to, again, it's not the onus is not placed on the police department, it's on our past elected officials who have placed too much on the doorstep of our police department, asking them to do too much in our community. We need to scale that back and have other agencies take over that sort of, community outreach so that they're available to do their jobs. Thank you.
Mr. Finch, thank you so much. Joe Lambert. Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you for having this committee. My family gives full support for our law enforcement officers. However, we do not support officers that go rogue and do not follow the law they took an oath to uphold. I can say with confidence that every good cop feels the same way. One bad cop leaves a stain on the department's reputation as well as the jurisdiction they represent. We as a community need to throw full support to our officers and not defund any part of the department. We need to hear their voices and what they need, not just hear the voices of the community. As we have seen the jurisdictions that have defunded, it has left law-abiding citizens more vulnerable to becoming victimized, and their crime rates have skyrocketed. We cannot and should not be taking emotional decisions on the few that scream the loudest. An oversight committee should include a retired law enforcement officer, as well as require committee members to go through yearly law enforcement virtual training, along with 4 days a year as a ride-along with an officer. A committee needs to have a full understanding of the dangers of the job by doing the job, even if it's virtual and as a passenger. We need to support our PD, which in turn supports single moms, vulnerable children, domestic violence victims, and the most vulnerable in our community. The nation's population is over 300 million, with just over 1 million violent crimes reported. The stats for 2019, almost 700,000 law enforcement officers were employed in the U.S., and 89 of those officers died in the line of duty. Also in 2019, 55 unarmed white people were killed by police, along with 14 Black Americans. We have more law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty than Black and white Americans combined. Law enforcement is not systemically racist because the numbers just don't support it. My family and I back the blue. We need to enhance our police department, not abolish or defund. We can do this by sending a case manager from assisted outpatient treatment that the county sponsors on severely mentally ill calls, and have the PD as backup to that case manager. Victim advocates can be responding along with our police department, with the police as backup to that advocate. I want to thank the Modesto PD, their officers, for their sacrifice, and their families that allow them to come out and sacrifice for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lambert. Okay. We're going to go to Michael Scheffelbein, and please correct me if I mispronounce your name.
That's correct.
Right.
I'm Michael Schiffelbein, Pastor Michael, College Avenue United Church of Christ, and the president of the Stanislaus County Interfaith Council. And I really appreciate this work, Forward Together Initiative. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the council being invited to participate, and our representative is Mr. Michael Baldwin, who's there. So I'm very happy about that. I just want to talk as a person of faith in the faith community about the importance of this work, of creating a Citizens Review Board that also has an independent auditor. And the importance of it is really working on trust and transparency. In policing, it's not a matter of taking sides ever, but it's to say that our community relations are really important. Having a partnership between the police and community is very important, and we can't go wrong with it. It's great to want to improve our understanding, to improve the reduction of killings, violence, etc. I just wanted to say something about what it's like to be someone who serves in the community and someone who's respected. As a pastor in my church, we realize that pastors have incredible power. They serve, they give of themselves, they put their emotional lives on the line sometimes. But in my own congregation, we have a pastoral relations committee to really to be a check on power, to see that the power that I have sometimes can be misused. And it's very important because I am trusted, because I do have responsibilities. We recognize that police have to make split-second decisions about danger, what is perceived to be danger. And we know that how we perceive danger is influenced by race in our world, race in our communities. I know that as a white person myself. And so this is what we want to do, to grow in consciousness, grow in how we understand what is a danger, perceived danger. We want to improve the relationships in our community between police and people of color and all people. And so this is not choosing either or, that we support the police or we support a Citizens Review Board with an auditor. We support both, and we want a healthy, thriving community. And so I appreciate the work that the city is doing. I appreciate this Forward Together initiative. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. We'll move on to Roxana Chacos. Present. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Roxanne Chacos. I've had an incident involving the Modesto P that destroyed my family. One of my sons started to exhibit signs of mental illness. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, and later PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder from the incident. Alec became suicidal. His behaviors demanded police presence. EMT and first responders are unable to make 5150 calls. After multiple visits to our home, the PD grew tired. They reverted from help to criminalization of my son for schizophrenia. On September 22nd, 2019, Alec tried for the third time to commit suicide. They found my son stabbed in an alley near our college home. An officer recognized him by his cerebral palsy and called me. I was en route home from a business trip, so I immediately called Alec's identical twin brother, Ashton, and woke him to check the house for his brother. At that time, I heard pounding on the door, Modesto PD. I told Ashton to answer the door, and then the phone disconnected. Ashton and his girlfriend were taken downtown, interrogated for over 10 hours, charged with attempted murder. Bail set at $500,000. Holly's bail was never set due to the fact that she could not pass the competency test. Alec was questioned in the hospital by the detectives. He told the detectives that he tried to kill himself again. They called him a liar. These mentally challenged young adults had no investigator assigned to them, no scientific information like the DNA, scene analysis, just plain facts of how could these two carry an unconscious body 2 blocks in their underwear at midnight, and had no defensive wounds as well. And their CP would have made sure that they would have had defensive wounds because they can't walk with shoes without getting damage to their feet. Also, which is really interesting, Holly's 1-inch blue fingernails were still fully intact in the interrogation video. Our neighborhood was in stress. The CSI truck was parked in front of my house, and they blocked off all of the neighborhoods in the college area. And then the Modesto P posted, and our neighbors feared us. The discriminations my sons have suffered from birth because of their disabilities and cerebral palsy doesn't shine a light on this incident. Ashton and Holly spent a month in jail. Ashton and Holly are now convicted felons with strikes. Ashton and Holly are no longer ever going to have contact with brother. Alec's mental disabilities have plummeted because of the way that he feels this is his own fault. I'll skip. Police officers live in PTSD, and it reflects on their abilities to differentiate between criminal behaviors and mental behaviors, and it's just due to lack of knowledge. For the last 2 years, I've tried to get justice for my children to no avail. Now I've collaborated a startup utilizing virtual reality-informed psychotherapy model in hopes to connect our relationship with the police, our mental awareness, and everyone's and our community. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak before this esteemed council.
Thank you. Roxanne, thank you. And I'm sorry I called you Roxana.
Oh,
but
it's okay.
Roxanne, thank
I
you.
get all kinds of things.
Okay. Appreciate your comments very much. Okay, we're going to go to Zoom, and Perfecto Munoz is with us. And Perfecto, you're muted.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be part of this discussion, moving together. One of the things that I think as we look at the Community Police Review Board is to look at what the community is all about. And in order to do that, we need to establish some really strong community relationships with the police by improving our community policing. I also think that lends an opportunity for people to reach out and discuss. I also encourage that we also develop a engaged community through meetings. We have at the King Kennedy Center had offered the opportunity for the police to come and speak on a variety of topics prior to COVID-19. And there is a lot of positive activities taking place there. And I think that's a key to community investing as well as community outreach. I also think that we need to look at how we can create an opportunity for mentoring. We have a lot of youth that are from single parent homes. In other words, they don't have a male person there. How do we get them involved and teaching them what it's like to be in law enforcement and what are the good things that they do and can for their own community. Lastly, the most important thing is our organizations. We host the clergy in the King Kennedy Center, and they have been very involved in looking at just a variety of matters. I'm not speaking for them, I'm not a member, but it's and that there is this group that meets in our center with the police, highway patrol, and the sheriff department. And this has been a real positive relationship with this clergy council of trying to address some of the challenges in the community. So as we have to look for not just what we do, but we have to look is in the role of the police chief is the sense of integrity, ability, a sense of trust that one has the ability to speak to, and that somebody listening. Without that, we will always continue to have a cycle. I think that the shared value, as about that, is important, but also include the area of trust and working together with a common goal of improving the lives of the residents of Modesto, the city of Modesto. And with that, I want to say thank you. I will put something more in detail writing, but I wanted to just decide in terms of how I view what's important to ensure the safety in the community as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, perfecto. I wanted to take a minute to remind folks too, I'm also feeling the tightness of a 3-minute opportunity. So lots of opportunities to provide feedback on the email, which is the forwardtogether@modestogov.com, going to the website, which is modestogov.com/forwardtogether, and also the voicemail. And Michael and I, as we continue facilitating and convening this process over the coming months, will be getting that information. So just wanting to make sure folks know that this isn't the last time you'll have a chance to be heard. Ken Bryant, can I invite you to share?
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, first of all, I want to thank you for hosting this event. I think this is a real positive step, and I appreciate all the comments by the previous speakers. I think all of them have valid points, and I am in particular in favor of the Citizens Independent Overview Committee, including the independent auditor. It's my understanding that the process is ongoing currently to recruit and hire a new police chief. And I think many of these issues that have been mentioned need to be incorporated into the selection process. I'm confident that that's probably happening. But I think, all of us understand that culture and accountability starts at the top. And that includes you folks as well as the city manager. And I think, the expectations need to be clearly stated. I believe, as several of the speakers have indicated, that we have many police officers that fit the description that Mr. Turner described in his remarks. And I think they should be celebrated. And I think that our ultimate goal should be that all of our officers fit that description. I know that oftentimes we as citizens have unrealistic expectations of your ability to achieve all these things given your budget constraints. And as a community, all of us need to be willing to fund this. And if that means increased fees or taxes, I'm in favor of that if we can achieve this positive goal that we've established for ourselves. Again, I want to thank you for hosting this event, you in particular, Mayor Zwala. I think this is an absolutely necessary engagement process, and I'm confident that it will lead to improvement in our quality of life here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we'd like to invite Allison Sieber, who's joining us on Zoom.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning. My name is Allison Sieber. I am Trevor Sieber's little sister. I am calling for better. I don't want to hear about another Trevor Sieber happening in Modesto. When we called for help, we should have gotten help and not somebody jumping out of their car within 3 seconds, absolutely executing my brother. We need a civilian review board and a police auditor, and outside. The police should not be policing themselves. To me, that doesn't make a lot of logic, and we need an outside psychologist to make sure the police are fit to continue doing their job. Their job has traumatic into it. All of the officers that went and got to see my brother take his last breaths, I know that's traumatic for everybody, and all of those officers should make sure that they are still up to par to be able to be an officer. We should not have allowed one officer to kill 5 people, which 4 of them were unarmed. That is an officer who does not have the correct mentality for us. It's also wrong that we have to pay an officer who continuously kills people, and we pay them for their paid leave. This officer got a paid vacation for murdering my brother. I feel like that needs to be thrown out the window. If an officer decides to go and kill somebody, he needs to have an unpaid leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Just a reminder for folks, if you're present and you'd like to speak, you can fill out these blue cards, which are over there on the shelf. And for those of us on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand function, and then we'll know that you are waiting to share. Debbie Martinez?
Good morning. My name is Debbie Martinez. I stand as one. I represent many. Thank you, Sue, Mayor. Now you and I share history to my topic. Members of the chamber, I see familiar faces. Those that don't know me, I am with the Latino Community Roundtable. I am their educational liaison. I also am with We Are La Raza Parents Union. We are a social justice movement. I am on no one's 501c. I speak from the heart. I've been doing this for 10 years. I now have a concern. In 2015 to 17, Modesto City's police department removed their contract. At that point in time, we were given campus school security. They replicated the police, their vehicles. They purchased many of them and replicated them as police vehicles. Are these campus security able to call a 5150 when they're on our school sites? No, they're not trained. Who do they call? They call PD. PD comes in and they remove our children. I have plenty. I brought them to the governing board over at Modesto City Schools while you were residing there, Sue. I asked then, what about their Mirandas? What about their constitutions? Safe, secure, and peaceful, Article 1, subsection 28, and in parentheses 7. Our children are entitled to enter a school site, portal to portal, as our parents are mandated to send them to school by law. Who's securing them when we leave them at our school sites and they're exited in handcuffs, sent to juvenile hall, and their issues are mental issues? There's a problem there. We need to close that gap. Under 18, when our children are being stereotyped at their schools. In May of 2018, we exposed Modesto City Schools. They are currently in federal courts for the school-to-prison pipeline. Our children don't belong in a pipeline just because they're disadvantaged, just because there's mental health issues. They don't belong in a pipeline because when they come out, where do they end up? Is that my time?
15 seconds left.
Okay, well, I'll reserve the 15 seconds to compliment Modesto Police Department on their Save Me a Seat at elementary sites. Thank you for mentoring our elementary children, but what about the rest, junior high and high school? I stand in the gap of education on this committee. I want a voice in education. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go back to Zoom and we're going to hear from Ms. Sabrina Chmielewski. Please correct me if I did not say that correctly. And it looks like you're muted. Sabrina, are you with us?
She may have taken a break.
Yep. So what I'd like to do is maybe go to the next person in person, and then we'll see if Sabrina's back. Okay. Mr. Dan Freeman.
Mayor and City Councilman, thank you for allowing me to speak. My wife and I have lived in Modesto for 44 years. I feel safer in Modesto because we have police protection. I feel that if police protection is reduced, we will be less safe. I do feel that the current debate over police practices needs to move forward and some changes implement, for sure. I guess I was the other, not long ago, President Biden came out, new President of the United States, and said, I believe that the vast majority of policemen are good policemen, but we do have some bad cops. And I subscribe to that. So we need to fix those areas that do need fixing, but again, the vast majority do a good job and we're safer because of their good work. I believe that policemen should be in schools. I believe that's a good way to set a positive example, and kids can form their own opinion and see them in a positive light. I think that's very important right now in this day and age. Hopefully that's the one place they'll be introduced to them. I'm also concerned about the extreme partisanship in our country. I was raised that the easiest way to lie is to only tell one part of the truth. Whenever you see in a court system, you put your hand and you're supposed to swear that you're going to tell the truth, the whole truth. And I'm concerned about too much where one side only screams their opinion and the other side only screams their opinion, and frankly, neither one of them have got the truth. A woman previously spoke today, and although that person backed the blue, stated if one officer does something wrong, it's a stain on the whole police department. I would disagree with that. I believe in individual accountability. I also believe that parents are responsible for their children. And